Good morning and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. We continue now looking at some of the overlooked people in the New Testament story, and today we focus on a woman named Rhoda. It's one of the funniest stories in the New Testament, and it reads a bit like an episode of the Keystone Cops. The place is Jerusalem, and the apostles have been preaching and teaching in the name of Jesus, and they've stirred up such a ruckus that King Herod has taken notice. To try to tamp down the furor, the king has James, the brother of John, killed, and Peter is arrested and is languishing in jail. But just like our story yesterday, the one with Gamaliel, an angel came and led Peter out of the prison. In fact, the book of Acts goes into great detail about how they passed right by the guards and were never spotted. So once he was on the street, Peter made his way to where the others were gathered. And they were gathered together, hiding from the authorities. Clearly, with the death of James and with Peter's arrest, they were under threat. And so they had gathered in a house in fear, praying and wondering what would happen to them. About that time, they heard a knock on the door. And at first, they must have thought that it was the authorities who had come to arrest them too. So they sent the maid, a woman named Rhoda, to the door to see who it was. Before she opened the door, she asked who it was. And when she recognized Peter's voice and knew that it was Peter, she was so excited and ran back to tell all the others. Only she was so excited, she forgot to open the door. So there's poor Peter, miraculously led out of jail by an angel, still standing on the street and knocking on the door. Well, the others can't believe Rhoda, and they spend some time discussing it. And meanwhile, Peter's still out there knocking away. Finally, someone thinks to open the door, and Peter comes in. Peter shares his story and tells them to tell others as a means of encouragement that God is with them. Then he leaves for another, and I guess, safer place. Now, that's an important point, that God is with us no matter what. When we put ourselves in harm's way for the gospel, we are not forsaken. God is with us. But there's something else so appealing about Rhoda, too. I love her sense of excitement. An excitement so vivid and overwhelming that she forgot all about opening the door. And I think we ought to be excited like that whenever God works in our world. God is so full of wonderful surprises, countless opportunities of grace that come our way time and time again. And we ought to notice them. We ought to appreciate them. We ought to, like Rhoda, be so excited and caught up by what God is doing in our lives that we forget everything else. Far too often we take God for granted. Maybe we need a little Rhoda-esque excitement. Who's that at the door? You never know. It might be God at work. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.